What does it look like when a home disappears but life must go on? These 15 photos answer without a single caption. From basements packed shoulder to border fences lined with strollers, the scenes repeat like a broken record. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Number 1. World War II refugee children fleeing bombed cities. Air raids stripped rooms to brick and dust. Evacuations packed children into carriages after dark. Gas masks tucked beside lunch tins. Cardboard tags replacing names spoken at the door. Programs moved whole schoolyards out to farm towns and spare parlors. Photos show kids dozing upright, labels pinned to coats, lessons shifted to church halls and village greens. Blackouts in shelters swallowed privacy. Safety came linked to separation and the ache that sits in silence. Number 2. Holocaust survivors crossing borders after liberation. A gate swings open, yet the road ahead is hemmed by lenses and ledgers. Freedom arrives on a clipboard first, then at a desk, then under a stamp. Survivors step out with bundles and borrowed coats. Lines form for medical checks. Registration tables stand where kitchen tables should be, and meals come by ration, not recipe. Transit camps hold families under tarps and in long barracks. Portraits fix tattooed forearms cradling infants born in exile. Private marks shown like tickets on a stage. Number 3. Civilians escaping the siege of Leningrad. Winter-locked pipes and pantries. Photographs hold sleds stacked with water cans and, at times, the unclaimed. Stairwells served as morgues. Ration cards sat in gloves like last tickets in a quiet line. Home meals gave way to communal pots. Diaries recount shared broth and rooms so still that blankets on windows seemed to breathe. Historians describe starvation diets, shivering shelters, and courtyards where grief stood in public under artillery's reach. Number 4. Families displaced during the 1947 partition. Trains pulled whole neighborhoods in opposite directions. Photos show trunks, bedding rolls, infants on laps, and armed escorts scanning the platform like ushers at a grim theater. Along the tracks, camps rose overnight. Temporary mosques and temples shared tarps with soup lines, and registration slips replaced neighborly greetings and gossip. Researchers describe platforms turned into dormitories. Relief staff stepped in as family referees, sorting disputes about who rides, who waits, who counts as kin. The platform floor became a ledger. The whistle set the rules. Number 5. Orphaned children of the Korean War. Orphaned children slept in courtyards and on church steps. Photos show bowls held out in neat rows, hair cut short to fight lice, and volunteers scooping rice with steady hands. Makeshift schools met under tarps. Lessons ran on the ground, chalk shared with dust. Aid workers used number tags in photos to track care and keep a record. Studies note how identity fell apart, then got rebuilt by orphanage files, adoption papers, and meal lines that set a daily rhythm. Public routines became a kind of home. Number 6. Civilians fleeing napalm attacks in Vietnam. Villagers fled airstrikes along roads rimmed with smoke. Photos fixed children running past ditches, adults steering little ones through heat and noise. The road turned into a corridor with no shade and no pause. Frames record burns, rushed evacuations, and the fall of home kitchens into shared relief posts. Analysts link such images to shifts in public opinion and policy. Survivors recall wounds tended in public, bodies cooled with water before the cameras looked away. Number 7. Palestinian refugees after 1948. A house key hangs from a string. Behind it, only canvas. Can a key open memory alone? Families left with deeds, keys, and a few wrapped bundles. Photos fixed tent cities in rows, water points with dented cans, and children bent over crates used as desks. Over months, Camps grew into towns with lanes and nicknames. Aid cards, food rations, and school books formed a new household ledger, line by line, stamp by stamp. Number 8. Rwandan genocide survivors. A yellow jerry can sits like a child's toy, but it weighs a day's walk. This image captures a rule of flight. Water first, everything else later. People moved in waves along roads and fields. Photos show borders choked with crowds, cholera tents in open grass, and mothers counting children by headscarves at each halt. Stadiums turned into shelters. Food lines formed clean grids, so birthdays and burials waited in the same queue, as if on stage under harsh light. Number 9. Afghan refugees during the Soviet-Afghan War. A rolled carpet on a truck bed says it plain. Home folded tight, destination loose and loud. Villages emptied under shelling. Photos fix caravans of trucks, mud brick ruins, and long tent lines strung across valleys near borders. Aid points doubled as markets. Prayer rugs unfurled between water tankers and vaccination tents, so worship, trade, and medicine shared one dusty aisle. Field notes mark how roles shifted. Older children hauled water. Elders watched food queues. Mothers bartered. Fathers sought day work. Public space became the only space, a stage where sleep, meals, and grief played without curtains. Number 10. Bosnian civilians hiding in ruins. A crib sits under open sky, its rails bright against rubble. What is a nursery without a ceiling? Sniper alleys turned kitchens into crawl spaces. Photos show families bedding down in basements, pots stacked by doors. Laundry lines strung across broken walls. Bread runs timed to shelling, steps counted, breaths held. Schools shifted to cellars where chalk scraped brick and lessons paused for sirens. Documented sieges show how urban war forces private life to perform in public ruins, as if a home were moved on stage without curtains. Meals, sleep, and fear all stood under the same shot-out arch. Number 11. Congo War Mass Displacement. A line of heads with bundles climbs a ridge and keeps going. How far can a home ride on the spine when the trail never ends? Cycles of fights push people through forest and swamp. Photos show mud-slick paths, tarps on sticks, and small fires ringed by watchful children. Aid points shift like carts in a market. A map of flight looks like tangled vines, each loop a camp born overnight. Analysts link resource wars to repeated uprooting. Each move erases private corners, so sleep, cooking, and grief stand in the open and wait their turn. In one frame, a pot lid leans on a stone. It marks a doorway and a guard for the night. Number 12. Iraqi refugees fleeing Fallujah. A child's car seat rests on a pile of bags. Safety now counts in miles, not straps. Urban battle pushed families toward checkpoints. Photos show civilians waving white flags, IDs held high, plastic jugs tied to hoods and roofs. Bridges gone turned short drives into odysseys, with detours through dust and quiet fields. Public squares shifted into aid lines under watchtowers, where water, bread, and fuel rations set the day's shape. Reports describe siege corridors that force home life into open lanes. Pots, blankets, and birth records read like public declarations, as if laid out in a museum case. Cars doubled as cribs, pantries, and proof of intent to live. Number 13. Syrian families trapped at borders. A stroller hangs on barbed wire and asks a blunt thing. Why does the cradle end at the fence? Families stall between rules and dates. Photos show turnstiles, biometric scans, and stadium floors turned to dorms. Children spread books on concrete steps, pencils short, back straight, noise all around. Camps swell into cities with street names and corners, but permits still set bedtime and breakfast. The day runs on loudspeakers, lists, and colored cards that decide who moves and who waits. Number 14. Rohingya refugees fleeing Myanmar. A family ledger wrapped in plastic sits in a lap. Proof of self kept drier than skin. Camps run over hills in tight rows. Photos show bamboo frames with tarps flapping and brown runoffs from latrines cutting paths through kids' play spots after hard rain. Schools meet under sheets of plastic. Cooking fires balance on bricks, pots steady over damp ash. Wristbands and ration cards fix identity in lines that move slow, like a museum queue. Number 15. Ukrainian civilians escaping invasion. A teddy bear on a subway bench says bedtime under fluorescent day. Air raids send families below. Suitcases turn into pillows, pets wait in carriers, and children fold crafts between tiled columns. Basements and stations grow into towns. Volunteers pour tea from big thermoses. Medics work in corridors with taped lanes. Weddings pause for enlistment and shelter. Rings slipped on hands beside stacked bags.